in this location.
Fine. Okay. So when you select that, the product related details will come. Fine. Now when user clicks add to cart button, it should be added. So what we have to do is, here we need to maintain a separate collection. We need to maintain a separate array. This is cart items. Cart items is an array. It's an empty array. Now this cart items is currently empty. When user selects any category and clicks on add to cart, this particular searched item must be stored in the cart items. So we have this searched product. We created this searched product inside this function. So it is accessible only inside the function. We will do one thing. We will declare this searched product. We will declare that searched product globally. And we will say searched product is equal to. The advantage is now you can access this outside that function. We can use global window also, but this is enough. So that means this searched product related details are accessed here. And when user clicks on add to product, add cart button, this searched product must be added into this cart items. That means we need to write a function on this button, add to cart button click. So that means add to cart button click on click is equal to add to cart click. Add to cart click function should be called. So we are writing that function here. So we are defining the function add to cart click. So what should happen is the searched product must be added into cart items. That means cart items dot push. We learned already how to add items into array. Push which item? Searched product must be added into. By using push, you can add the new items into it. Already we learned in the previous how we can handle that. We are adding the new item into it. So generally, this is collecting and configuring the cart items. Now, this cart items array contains the collection of items. Now this must be displayed in a tabular form. And observe here, so it is added. Okay, fine, it is added. Now initially, what we are doing is, we need to display this list, cart items list. And we can put an alert here saying that alert. So item added to your cart. Item added to your cart. That's the message should come. Now this must be displayed separately. Cart items must be displayed separately. Now important, actually cart item contains 3 details: the name, price and photo. And I want to display where you want to display that. Suppose what we will do now is we will create, after the section completed, so here we will create a div and we will define a class as model. We create a model, ID as shopping cart. So that is the ID for the model. Already Bootstrap, I told you how to use models, Bootstrap models. we discussed about bootstrap models. And here you see in the top, all the bootstrap, everything is ready. And we can use all bootstrap options here. And model requires div class as so model dialog. It requires a model dialog. And this model dialog requires so model content. And that model content requires the class as model header. In the header, so it requires a title. So your cart items, items, your cart items. And below that, so we have another div. So where we need to define the model, so model body, and here, so model body should contain a table, and table will have a class called table, and table hover, that is the table class. Table will have t head in the tr, in the th. We will have a name, and we have a price, and we have preview, and we have t body, table body, and id for this table body is t body. Into that we need to add the cart items, and this is the div card model body. We will have a class called model, so model footer. In the model footer we just have a button as OK button, class as btn and btn success, something like this. And generally, you know how we can close the models. That means what we have to use is here the class, here we have data target, data dismiss. Actually this is data dismiss is equal to model. Data dismiss is model. And similarly in the header, so your cart items, here I will put a button and cross and a class as close. And here we define data dismiss. Data dismiss is model. And this model must be displayed with a fade effect I am giving. Model must be displayed when user clicks on this button called your cart items. On this button click, that means we have to use data target. Data target is equal to hash shopping cart. I don't need to explain how to use models. Already we learned this, how to on the model, off the model. In Bootstrap we discussed that. And the data toggle, so, and it has to toggle the model. Now you can see here, actually when I click on your cart items, a model should come and it should display that. Model should come and display that. That means it should come and display. So data toggle, data toggle. Now when I click on that, it should open the model and display your cart items. Currently it is empty. So okay, then it will close that. The cart items are currently empty. You are closing. Now what should happen is, after user selected footwear and some footwear, add to cart. When user clicks add to cart button, on this add to cart button click, it has to fire up the function and say item added to the cart. It should say item added to the cart when user clicks on that button. So that means here we need to write a function. So add to cart button click. Here we need to write a function. So I written here, we have to write the function on that button click, button on click. So user selects a category, selects a product and click add to cart, then alert, it says item added to your cart, and say okay, that is added. How do I know it is added? So here right side, it should display how many items are there in the cart. How many items are there in the cart? It should display that. That means count and display here. I want to display there how many items are there in the cart. And how we can display that. So this is the approach here. See, I want to display. So here I want to display how many. You see, we created a span called LBL count. Now here I want to display. So when user click on this add to cart, I need to update that count. That means we will create a function first. Get count. Get count function will get document get element by ID. It will get LBL count dot inner HTML. Here it will display cart items dot length. Cart items dot length means how many items are there. On body load, so for example, so we have already body load. We will go to body load. In the body load, what I am doing, I am saying get count. So on body load, count will be collected. And you can see that on body load, get count is 0. You see 0, your cart items 0, right side you can see that. On add click, add to cart click, after adding, get count again. This will update the count. Observe here, select, and you see add to cart click, and you can see item added to cart, okay, and you have 1. Now I selected another category, fashion shirt. I click add to cart, item added to cart, okay, then it is 2. That means we have 2 items in the cart. So that is available there. Now important is when I click on this, it is showing a model, but in that model it should show both cart items. How many items you added this. That means now what should happen here is generally. So when user clicks on this button, already a model is coming. At the same time, this list should be added into table. That cart items must be added into table. Then here we will write a event. So here we will write a event. On click is equal to show cart. Show cart is the function. Okay, let's write that show cart function. So function show cart. What this function have to do additionally? So this show cart function have to display the items in the cart. Not no need to write actually. What you can do is you can reduce this. So no need to write, because if item is already added, this model is not displayed by default. So what you can do is, after adding the cart items, we can display these cart items in table. So that means we will write another function. So we will define another function. So function. So add cart items to table. Add cart items to table. Just for your understanding sake, I am giving lengthy reasonable names for functions. So add cart items to table. What this have to do is, it have to read every cart item from this cart items collection and add to table body. How to add to table body? Yesterday we learned, where t body is equal to document get element by ID t body. Okay, next we need to perform an iteration for where item of collection is cart items. For every item inside the cart, we have to create. So a cell, that means cell 1. This contains document.create element. This is td1 or td. We have to create a row also. we need to create a row. So that means where row is equal to document dot create element tr. Then we have to create cells. So we need to create the cells. So cell 1 and cell 2 document dot create element td. Three cells we need to create. So cell 3 and the document create element is td. All three cells created. Okay, what cell 1 will contain? Cell 1 dot inner HTML. In that we will display item dot name. Okay, cell 2 dot inner HTML. In that we will display item dot price. Okay, cell 3 contains photo. Then what we will do is we will create an image document dot create element img, and image dot src is equal to item dot photo, and add this image to cell, that means cell 3 dot append child, so image. Okay, now add all the cells into row, so row dot append child cell 1. Okay, row dot append child cell 2. Okay, and row dot append child, so cell 3. Okay, now add this row to table. Tbody dot append child is a row. Row is added to the table. So this should happen. This add items, cart items to table. Add this cart items to table. So it should add cart items to table. That means it is adding the cart item to the table. And here it is adding the cart item to table. After add click, I need to call the function as add cart items to table. I have to call this function add cart items to table. So, and this is done. That is configured and it is defined. Now, important here, some more problems will be there. You have to handle those issues. What are the issues? We have to make sure that it is not repeating. So that you can manage. That's not a big point. Already I told you, it will not re-add everything. It should not re-add everything. So that point is important. So how we can say that it will not re-add everything? That means how we configure re-add everything. We have to clean up the existing details. We have to clean up the existing details. We need to add those details into it whenever we create an example for that. That means now usually what happens here, let's check. So it is updated into that. It is updated into it. Now what we can do is technically, so this need to be added. So let's run this and see. I click here, so footwear, and select footwear, add to cart. It is added to cart. You have one cart item. You click on that. That should be displayed here. Height width you can adjust for image. Here we are adding image. So and image dot width is equal to 100. So image dot height is equal to some 50 like this I defined. So and that is configuring that here. Now usually, so we need to define that. And I select here and add here, add to cart. It is added to cart, and you have the one cart item there. So okay, I am selecting some another product, electronics, and JBL speaker, add to cart, and that is also added to cart. And you see repeated. And you know how do we manage? So how we can configure that problem is regular. Now we know how you can manage that. So what to do to manage this? Before adding the items into the table, So because this is added into the table, the row is added into the table into the T body. Suppose I say T body dot inner HTML is equal to empty, right? That means I selected here footwear and say select and added. And I selected here fashion and choose here jeans, added. And two items are in the cart and it will display those two items. That is how we can configure them, how you can add. That is added into the cart. So that means now we are creating a simple example. Here I selected some electronics and some earpods and add to cart. It is also added. Three items are in the cart. It will display those three items. This is a basic example how you can manage that kind of functionality here. Now you must able to delete the items from the cart. There are so many approaches now. But in order to do that, you have to learn about some events and event related manipulations also. So without that, you cannot manage. That means, for example, here you see in this model, already we created a table. In the model, we created a table. And in the model, we created a table. And actually in the table, so in the table body, we are adding some options into it. That means in the table body, we are adding the row. Into the row, we are adding the items dynamically. That means in the row, we are adding the cell dynamically. Actually, generally, suppose we are configuring. So we are configuring, suppose a cell 4 here. So where cell 4 is equal to document.create element td. And actually in the cell 4, so we defined where btn is equal to document.create element. So we are creating a button. And btn dot value, so button value is equal to, so button value is equal to, suppose remove. We can apply some styles, some icons, some classes. We can add them. We can use some classes and configure them. So that is the button value. Just we defined the button value as remove. And we are defining cell 4 dot append child. So btn is added into that cell 4. And add this cell 4 here. So row dot append child, cell 4 is also added into that. Actually, this is adding an item into that. Add to cart, it is added. And you see cell 4 contains this one. A button is there. On the button click, we can put a symbol there, like delete symbol icon. So value is configured, name is defined. Suppose I said, suppose inner HTML. So button is having inner HTML. So that means it is a button you created with inner HTML. So it says remove. We can put an icon here. We can configure an icon here. So for example, I am trying something like this, like later I will tell you how we can add CSS classes. So here I created a inner HTML. We created a span. And in the span, so we are adding a class as FA. And FA, suppose trash, FA trash. So that is the inner HTML defined. I selected some footwear and I click on add to cart. It is added. And you can see that symbol will come there. Now very important is on the button click of that particular button click, I must able to remove that item. But generally you see here, I added another cart another item into the cart, and you can see that for every item that symbol will come. But the point is, on this button click, how you will remove that particular item. So that means we need to get this position index number of that particular record. And you need to learn how to write the events for the buttons that you created. Event for the buttons that you created, because these are not static buttons available. These are generic buttons. That means observe here, these are not static buttons, dynamic buttons. You see, you created this BTN. And for that button, we need to write an event. We are writing here, so inner HTML, we write an event. We need to write an event for that. Actually, this BTN is not accessible outside because you are writing inside add to cart. Suppose I am defining this var BTN. That means BTN I am defining, and we are declaring that var BTN outside. That means globally. That is a button actually. Now suppose I am trying to write here, how to write the function here, BTN. BTN is referring to a button. So it is referring to a button. So this button is having an option like this button can use. So events, we can configure the events. Generally, how do we define the event? Right, we have on click is an event. So that means it is a function. It should return some functionality. We haven't learned about events. I will tell you about events, the properties and events for the objects. We will discuss about that. I'm just giving you a small overview. This is not the right way actually. This will not the right way. That means I put an alert, say remove clicked. I'm writing like this. That means just basic approach I am telling you, but it is not the concept. It will not the concept that works correctly. I click on remove, that remove should fire up. That means first you have to learn how to bring it and how do we write events for them. Because on click is not generally the event of directly button. These are the events related to document object. On click is related to document object which you have to use for button. That means first you need to learn how to write events, how to point towards the events, how we can access the members of it. That will allow you to handle this functionality because this is the approach which requires a lot of event handling, because you are creating a control inside the table dynamically. There is no control available. So, and all those buttons should do the same work but delete that particular record. That requires good knowledge of events. We will see, because we have to learn event and event handling, then we can manage that. Then we can understand how we can write the events and configure the events for that. Configure the events. So generally, this is enough to understand how the process works, how we configure and how do we use it. So actually, so when you are defining the arrays and JSON type of objects, how to collect them dynamically, how to add them into the list, how we manipulate them. This is one example at only array level. At array level example we have seen. So, and here it is very complex in your code. You see hundreds of lines of code you have to write. See, design will never change. Even you are using jQuery or AngularJS, design is same. Any technology, this design from this 119 to 196, approximately 200 lines of design. In that 100 lines of design and 100 lines of code, So 100 lines of design you cannot change, but this 100 lines of code you can change. You can make it short. You can make it short and more easy and more better. And that is possible by implementation of jQuery-like concepts. jQuery-like concepts. So this example I will upload. You try this example into the classroom. I will upload this example. Once you tried it, tomorrow I will just check whether you done or not. If you tried it, then I will give you an exercise that you have to design by yourself with the same type of concept, but some more complexity. So a little bit more complexity you have to handle. And if you can design that, that's good. That means now you are perfect in handling, because dynamically handling, interacting, and all these requires logically good. That means you need to be perfect in understanding how to loop through the collection, how to create elements dynamically, how to add elements dynamically. This example will give you a good clarity on that. So this is the basic option how we can design, how we can configure. So this is one complete example. I hope everyone understood this example. Everyone understood this example, right? Understood the approach that we have followed here. Our intention is to understand the concept of how you deal with the arrays. And you first try this. Then I can give you some complex tasks based on this. So that will help you in achieving more better and more complex designs also. But till now you have learned in JavaScript, so only about the concept of variables and the data types. We learned about the variables and data types. And in variables, so data types, you have learned about the primitive types. We have learned about the non-primitive types. In non-primitive types, we have seen how we can use an array, how we can use an object, and how we can use array of objects. That means a JSON type of data. So work with a collection and deal with the collection. So these are the basic data types we have learned. So how to work with them. This example I showed you with regard to array manipulations, array and object and manipulations. Now in the non-primitive types, so we have another regular expression type. So regular expression type. So what is a regular expression and how do we deal with regular expressions? Configure and use the regular expressions technically. Already we learned regular expression. So how to write regular expressions, we discussed already. We done that. So we already learned regular expressions when we learned HTML pattern. So how to write regular expression, what are the points, meta character. This regular expression, that's also important. This already I showed you in string type also. When we discussed about the match method, so I showed you how the regular expressions are handled. So that means how we write the regular expression and how do we configure the regular expression. So regular expression type. So how we deal with the regular expression type. So in double slashes, we have learned how to write the regular expression I showed you. In the string manipulations, so we have seen that regular expressions so can be verified. So with double slash, I already showed you that regular expression / example I already given to you. That is regular expression type. Another important while working with the data types in JavaScript, you need to know how to handle the date types. Date types. How we can manage, how we can work with the date types. So dealing with the date types, how do we store the dates, access the dates, and use the dates? Actually, technically, to work with date type. So I will give you a simple point here. Suppose we are configuring the script function and we are accessing the function and we are creating here. So var name is equal to some name, some JBL speaker. And we have price. So that is price, some price. And we have the option like manufactured. Manufactured. Manufactured is a date. Then how do we store the date? Suppose I am writing like this. So that means in the quotes, I am writing like some 10 or say 2202 and 2020 like this. That is the manufactured. So this is wrong. This is invalid. This is invalid. So why? Because this is not a date. It is a string. It is a string. If it is a string, it may look like date, but it will not allow any date manipulations. We cannot extract the month name. We cannot extract the weekday. We cannot manipulate this as a date. It will print same because it is a string, but it will not allow any date manipulations. Date manipulations are not allowed. Manipulations are not allowed. So then how we can store the dates, how we can manage the dates and use the dates. And date manipulations. So to store the date values, you have to allocate a date type memory by using date constructor. By using date constructor. That means to store date type values, you need to allocate the memory by using new operator. It is dynamic memory allocating operator. By using this new operator, we have to allocate the memory for date type. So this allocates date type memory for you so that in that you can store the dates. By default, date type memory is allocated and you are not mentioning any date. It will load the current date into it. It will load the current date into it. So that means now when I try to print this, document dot write. So we are printing the details. So let's print the details. So name is equal to, so name, okay. And price is equal to, so price, okay. And manufactured is equal to, so manufactured, okay. And you can see that it is going to display the manufactured date, and that is the current date. It will display the current date and time and everything. So this is, if it is doing this, that means date is working fine. Date is working fine, but it loads the current date. If you want any specific date, you need to pass the date here. Now in the date type of memory, date can be passed as a string. Date is passed as a string. In the date type of memory, the date is passed as a string. You configure date as a string. And important, 100 to 100%. When you pass a date value into the date constructor, it should be in year, month, day format. Anything else is not valid. You cannot change the format because it is the standard format for the dates. Because browsers across different regions, compatibility issues will come. That's the reason there is a standard format for the date to configure. Suppose I'm writing like some 22 and 02 and 2020. So, and I'm trying to print the date here and it says invalid date. It says invalid date. So because as per the format, so there must be first year. Year is 2020. After that month and then date. Year, month, date format. And it is now valid. It is okay. Saturday, February 22. And so date must be always entered in this format. Anything else is not valid. You cannot change. Date entering format you cannot change. Date display format you can change. Your wish. You can display in any way. So that means I don't want in the same way to display, it's your wish. The format how you display is your wish. But the format how it accepts, it is standard. Then how you can display date in your own style. So then for that, we have several date functions. To access the dates, we can use the functions get hours. Get hours. It will get the hour number. Hour number, it will return so 0 to 23. 23. It is in a 24-hour format. Hour number 0 to 23. Get minutes, it will return the minute number 0 to 59. Get seconds, it gets the seconds number. So that is 0 to 59. Get milliseconds, so milliseconds. This will return the milliseconds 0 to 999 because 1000 milliseconds equal to 1 second. It uses that. And another important here is so it get day. It returns the weekday number. Weekday number 0 is equal to Sunday. It starts with 0. Weekday is equal to Sunday. So that is the option. Weekday is equal to Sunday. That's the option. Now important, how we manage that I will tell you. Get month. It will return the month number. And it will be 0 is equal to January. That means all the results will be in a number format. All the results will be in a number format. So get year, get full year actually, get date first. Get date is returning the date number. It will be from 1 to 31 depending on month. And get full year. It will return the complete year number. So that is 2020, 2021 like this. Get the year number. So that is how it manages. That is how it manages the accessing of date. You have short options like to local date string, to local time string like this, to string like this. We can use these functions. Technically to present the dates in a correct way. For example, suppose manufactured. I am writing here to local date string. And you can see that it will return in this format. So if I want in a more better way, then you have to use all those functions. But problem is they all return number. I will show you here. Suppose, so I said MFD manufactured date. So manufactured date. So I get that. So by using manufactured dot get date, it will get the date number. Okay, good. In the next line, manufactured month, I want to get the month number. Then you have to write manufactured dot get month. It will get the month number. I want to get the manufactured year. So, or say I want to get the manufactured weekday. That means here we have defined manufactured dot get day. Get day will read the weekday number. So weekday number and year. So manufactured year. We are accessing that year and the manufactured year. So it says manufactured dot get full year. It will get the year number. And you can see that it is going to print all these details, but some problem. Manufactured date 22, good. Month is 1 because it starts with 0. Weekday also 6, it starts with 0. It is returning numbers, then it is not clear in understanding. Then if you know that it is returning number, you can use your techniques of presenting them in a correct way. What are the techniques of presenting them in a correct way is nothing but what you can do is you can simply configure. So you can simply define in this way. What you can do is, because get month is returning month number starts with 0. What we need to do is we have to create an array for months. In this array, we have to write the months, January, so February, so March, like this. Up to end, we have to write. I'm just stopping here. Similarly, we have to create an array for weekdays. This array contains, so Sunday, so it contains Monday, it contains Tuesday, so Wednesday, like this. Remember, you have to mention all, because if you miss any and your date belongs to some of those and you don't have an array, it says undefined. So Friday and Saturday, like this I given. Okay. Now important is this month is returning month number. Then what we will do is we will pass that number into months array. So we have months array. Into that array, we will pass this month number. That is the good approach. That means months is an array. Into that array, we are passing the month number. Then obviously it will get that value and it will display. Similarly, for weekday, we have weekdays array. Into that weekdays array, we are passing the weekday number. We are passing the weekday number. And you can see that it is going to print those details correctly. That looks good. How you return in the array, it will display in the same way. So that means in the array, you have defined February. So, and here you defined some Saturday. And it will get that and display. And it will get that and display. Suppose you are changing the date. Suppose if it is 21, then it has to get that and display. So if it is 12, then it has to get that and display Wednesday. It can change that. So that is generally how we handle the dates. So date is stored in the memory by using the date constructor. And in the memory, it is in a string form, but through date constructor only we have to configure that. And another important is we can add dates. So we can add dates. We can manipulate the dates dynamically. We can set the date also dynamically. Just like get functions, you have set functions also. So we have set month. So we have set month. We have set date. We have set year. So you have these options. So to set the values, we can set the values dynamically. Suppose already it is there. Suppose you want to change something, right? Then what you can do is you can call manufactured.set. you have all the options. You have set date, set month, set second, set date, all these options you can configure. Suppose I am defining set date, and set date, it is expecting the date number. So, and number, suppose I said, suppose 16, the date is set to 16. And you see that actually it was 12 and it is changed to 16 Sunday. So you can set the dates, you can set the month, you can set the year. So dynamically you can define them. Several manipulations are defined. So by accessing the date, by accessing the time. So that is how we generally display. Suppose, for example, suppose we have, suppose you see Facebook, Amazon, any websites and application these days. You open in the morning, it says good morning, afternoon, it says good afternoon. That means the salutation changes. The salutation changes as per the time. So that is a simple approach how you manage. That means you can put pictures, you can display something. So for example, suppose, so this is generally how you manage the date. Suppose I am giving here, how we can get the current date. So where now is equal to new date. Don't pass any date, it will get the current date. And so here where hours is equal to now dot get hours, it will get the hour number. And you can write a condition. If hours is greater than or equal to, if hours is greater than or equal to 0, hours is greater than or equal to 0, and double ampersand, hours is less than or equal to 12. So it's greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to 12. So we just defined in this way. That means we are configuring the value. That means it depends on how you are writing. Then we can display the message like good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You can display as per the situation. That means we are configuring this value, and we say document dot write. So we say good morning. I am defining this. We can write the option else if. So hours is greater than or greater than 12, and hours is less than or equal to 17, then document dot write. So here I say good afternoon, like this, and else we need to say, so document dot write, so good evening. Even you can put different pictures in this logic. If you know that you can add some different pictures and display those pictures. Now, usually the point is when you run this, when you configure and run this, it says good morning. So, and it depends on the time that you have configured. That means you can test, you can change the date and time on, adjust the date and time. And you are making change in the time, and you are testing that, because so it should not set automatically. So if you turn off automatically, then we can change the time. Here the time I given as suppose 14, and change the time is changed to 14. And once the time is changed to 14, then I refresh this one more time, because we have to reload this one more time. Then it depends on how you configured that. It will get that value and display that. Good afternoon. It will change that here. So that means when you change this, so when you adjust this, suppose again I changed that. I changed this and I change this. So suppose 18 and change that. And after changing, we need to relaunch the application, because system date is changed actually. and the browser will update on relaunching of the date, and it says good evening. It will get display as per the values. And again, I changed it here. So changed this to normal, say 10. Okay, so that is done. And say set automatically the time and close. And here it has to reload the page. And you can see that. So this is saying, so good morning. So you can put different images there. Good morning, one image. That means now your site will have a different salutation based on his timings. So this is generally done by accessing the hour number, by knowing the day, month, and all this. Based on dates, several manipulations are handled, several interactions are handled. And for that, we need to know how do we store the date values and configure the date values. This is working with dates, how we can manage the date. So, and once you know this, now we can see how we can handle the expressions and operators of JavaScript. Operators, expressions, operators, statements, OOP concepts. This makes complete JavaScript. Then we can go into jQuery. jQuery, how we can utilize this in jQuery and design application. That we'll see in our next session, right? Tomorrow we will continue. Tomorrow we will see how do we deal with the expressions and operators, right? Yeah.